Arsenal are under attack, but have they actually done anything wrong? What if I told you Arsenal are being criticized for something they didn't even create? And what if the very rules that Aston Villa and Newcastle are complaining about are actually the reason Arsenal are finally champions again? This debate is dividing football fans across England, and once you hear both sides, you may completely change your mind. Welcome back, Gunners. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button because we've got another massive Arsenal discussion that every football fan needs to hear. Let's dive straight in. Arsenal are once again at the center of one of the biggest debates in English football. But this time, it's not about a transfer or a title race. It's about financial fair play. Many Aston Villa and Newcastle supporters believe the Premier League's financial rules make it almost impossible for clubs like theirs to compete with Arsenal and the traditional Big Six. But is that criticism actually fair? According to this latest analysis, the answer is no. The argument begins with one simple fact. Arsenal didn't buy their way back to the top. It took 22 long years for the Gunners to win another Premier League title after the Invincibles era. During that time, football changed dramatically. Chelsea's billionaire takeover transformed English football almost overnight. Then Manchester City followed, backed by enormous financial power. Both clubs changed the landscape forever, winning league titles and dominating European football through spending that simply wasn't possible for clubs like Arsenal at the time. And while all that was happening, Arsenal were facing a completely different challenge. The move to the Emirates Stadium left the club carrying hundreds of millions of pounds in debt. Instead of spending huge money in every transfer window, Arsene Wenger had to build competitive teams on limited resources while still qualifying for the Champions League season after season. Many still consider that one of Wenger's greatest achievements. Fast forward to today, financial rules now prevent clubs from simply spending unlimited amounts. And that's exactly where Newcastle and Aston Villa believe the system works against them. Both clubs have recently faced UEFA sanctions over squad cost ratio regulations, while supporters argue the rules stop ambitious owners from investing enough money to challenge the biggest clubs. But here's where the debate becomes really interesting. The article argues that Arsenal are actually being criticized for playing by the rules. Unlike clubs that relied on massive financial backing, Arsenal rebuilt patiently. The club invested in its academy, developed elite players, made smart transfer decisions, and slowly returned to the top through sustainable growth. So why should Arsenal now apologize for operating within regulations that everyone else must follow? The real problem isn't Arsenal. It's that the financial rules arrived too late. Chelsea and Manchester City had already transformed themselves into football superpowers before stricter regulations were introduced. In other words, the horse had already bolted before anyone tried to close the gates. That leaves clubs like Newcastle and Aston Villa in a difficult position. Their owners may have the resources to spend much more, but today's regulations simply won't allow it. The news item does acknowledge that some of the current rules probably need improving. For example, clubs playing in different European competitions all operate under the same spending thresholds, despite earning vastly different revenues. That is one area many believe deserves another look. However, the overall conclusion is clear. Arsenal shouldn't be criticized for succeeding through sustainable planning. If anything, their journey back to the top after 22 years proves that smart recruitment, patience, and long-term planning can still compete with financial power. Whether you agree or disagree, this debate is far from over. And with Newcastle, Aston Villa, and several other ambitious clubs pushing for greater financial freedom, don't expect this discussion to disappear anytime soon. Now it's your turn, Gunners. Do you think the Premier League's financial rules are fair? Or should clubs with wealthy owners be allowed to spend much more if they can afford it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest Arsenal news and opinion. Until next time.